Morning, church. It's been a busy kind of a weekend. This is my 6th Mass from yesterday. So I had 4 yesterday, and so far 2 today, and I have 1 more. Sometimes in busy weekends like this, it's so easy to go into automatic pilots, and that's why sometimes the next one that's not yet. So it's happening. But I have found myself in this All Souls Day, celebrations of All Saints Day and All Souls Day, I found myself through the different masses that I've been doing, that I've been changing my homily. So I had a planned homily, and then I'm not sure if I want to say the same thing. So I changed it again, I changed it again, I changed it again. And the 8:30 Mass this morning, another different homily. But I told myself, okay, I think that homily, well, I'll stay with that homily now. The reason why I am staying with that homily is because last night, actually, I had my 4th Mass at 9 p.m. For the Nocturnal Adoration community. And we did a Mass for the dead in Spanish yesterday at about 9 o'clock p.m. And from 9 o'clock to the time that I reposed the Blessed Sacrament, because after that they would do a Eucharistic adoration, and this time around they only did it until about midnight. And so I have some time to kill in between. So I went to the rectory and decided I would sit in the TV room and decided to look at what I could watch, and I found myself on demand. I was flipping channels and got to this one movie that I've ignored all this time because I always classified it as a chick flick. And I mean, I watch chick flick. I watch chick flick. In fact, I had a homily on a chick flick before. But I just was not feeling right about this particular one for some time, and I've passed all the other opportunities I had to watch it. The movie is called The Fault in Our Stars. Have you seen that movie? Who's seen that movie? You've seen it. The younger ones? Okay. If you haven't seen it, I recommend that you see the movie The Fault in Our Stars. It's a great movie. It's very profound, and I was batting it as some teeny bopper movie that maybe is all about lovey. No, I'm wrong. It's a movie that I believe everyone should watch, especially when we try to think about the path to everlasting life. So anyway, I'm going to try my best to not spoil the movie for you in this homily. But the movie is about some cancer patients, a woman who had cancer. And the story unfolded in such a way that she found someone that gave her some boost of some hope and joy in the midst of this cancer situation that she has. And the one part of the movie that I thought was very poignant was when she tried to deliver a homily, a eulogy for her friend who was also dying. She said something very, very profound. She said, I'm not a mathematician by any means, but I know that there are infinite numbers between 0 and 1. There is 0.1, 0.11, 0.12, 0.134, 0.24, 0.333, 0.444, 0.457. No, it's an infinite number of infinities. And then she looked at her friend and says, I thank you for giving me my infinity. When she was a kid, she was already suffering from the cancer, and she would go to the hospital, and the nurse would ask her, Tell me the number, how your pain level from 1 to 10, 10 being the most painful. And she would always respond 9. She said, she couldn't talk then. She said, and the nurse said, you're lying, you're not 9, you're 10. Your pain level is 10. And she says, I always reserved the 10. And when her friend died, she said, this is my 10. I've always reserved a 9 for something more painful. But this, the death of my friend, is 10. How true and how profound it is that people can experience physical pain, and the physical pain can really, really be painful. I mean, from your headache, your migraine, to your foot, whatever it is, and for in her case, the effects of the chemotherapy and all the complications that went with the chemotherapy, the ability to not be able to breathe and all the pain that went with that. That was 9 for her. And the number 10 for her was the friend that she loved so much died. Even if I told you that, you still have to see the movie because there's so much more about it than that. And I have to tell you that it really does speak of what we together celebrate and maybe pray for today in this Eucharist. And infinitely, the biggest pains are the losses of our loved ones in our life. Our families, our friends that have passed and moved on. Those are the infinities of our lives. There's no way to describe that pain. And that pain goes beyond something that one can measure. And it does not end after a day or two. It lingers and it remains in our hearts until we too find our time to move on. I remember, for example, my grandfather. My grandfather passed away in 1993. About 20 years later, 21 years later, I remember my grandpa in the freshest way that I can remember it. I can remember him. I ache and miss the virgin coconut oil that he would cook for me, and I would exchange that for the fried chickens and the delicious food. I would rather have my grandpa's virgin coconut oil for lunch or dinner or any time. I remember those times when we would visit each other and go together to the orchard. I remember the sound of the bell that he would toll in the church. I remember the crossword puzzles that he made and finished every day until the day he went to the hospital. I remember the grapes that he loved to eat, and every time I eat grapes, I remember my grandfather. I remember the words that he said. I remember a coin that he gave me. It's a 10-cent coin that he kept since he was a teenager. And I remember him giving that to me, and I still ache the idea that I lost that coin. And I remember, I think of my grandpa. He is my infinity. There are a lot of infinities, like 0.00111 to 0.0999 to 0.099998. But this is my infinity. God did not give us all the infinities, but God gave us individually our own infinities. The people that matter to us, our children, our parents, our friends, our siblings, our husband or our wife, the people that brought infinity into our own lives. And when they move on, their infinity remains. Last year, in December of last year, I lost one very, very dear friend of mine. Her name is Dorothy Darrow. Not in any way related to me by blood, but I called her my grandma because she cared about me like a grandma. Anything that I did or said, every time I did a homily when I was in Wheaton, where she lived, every time I did a homily, she would say, "That is beautiful. Like it's the best homily I've ever been." And I'm telling myself, really? And whenever I went on the day off here in Kankakee, I'd go there on Monday. I would hang out with her on a Monday morning, and I'd cook her breakfast. And we would hang out together and sit on the porch or sit in our dining table, and we would talk. And every time I cooked her some breakfast, she would always say, "Father, Sonny, it's delicious." I'm like, really? It's just egg. And I remember Dorothy Darrow as fresh as the day, the last day that I saw her. And she's an infinity. She's my infinity. Friday was also busy here at Saint Teresa. Friday morning, I had a morning mass, and then around 11 o'clock, I had a funeral mass for Joseph Angelo. After the funeral luncheon at the Museum Center, I got back to the rectory, and within 30 minutes, I got a call. Emergency line. And so I listened to the emergency line, and it said, "Father Sonny, this is Riverside Hospital. We would like to inform you that one of your parishioners has expired, has passed away. Her name is Barbara Benoit." How many of you are hearing this for the first time? How many of you know Barbara? How many of you know Barbara Benoit? Long-time parishioner. Wonderful woman. She would come to morning mass. She always came to morning mass until she had to do this procedure on her knee. Beautiful woman with a queenly bearing. She had the bearing of a queen. But Barbara always sat there in that section, the first two pews there in the front, on morning masses. And when I went to the hospital, I couldn't believe myself. I was driving like, Barbara Benoit? I thought she was only having some kind of a minor procedure on her knee. Well, Barbara had not a very, very serious procedure, but for some reason, she was feeling weak after the surgery. She was doing some therapy, but she wanted to go home. She went home with her daughter. Her daughter was fixing stuff that they got from the store. And after a while, she realized her mom was not nowhere to be found. And she was looking for her mom, and she found her in the garage, just inclined like this, passed out. And she never would recover again. She would get to the hospital. And when I got to the hospital, the body of Barbara Benoit was still warm. And I said, "Barb." I still couldn't believe it. And so I put my hand on her head like this and gave her that absolution. By the authority vested upon me by our Holy Mother Church, Barbara, I absolve you from all your sins. And I know she get that blessing. But as I did this, and as I prayed to her and said, "Go forth, Christian soul, to your Creator who has made you, to Jesus who has saved you. Go forth, Christian soul, and may you find Abraham, the bosom of Abraham today, and may you live in heaven forever." And I couldn't help but break down in this very words I'm saying, and I still couldn't believe that this is the woman that is in church here every morning mass. As I drive out, I must have felt, and I was seeing something about that whole experience. I'm thinking, today, that is also an infinity. I refuse to believe that Barbara Benoit and all those our parishioners that have come through the walls of Saint Teresa Church are gone. I refuse to believe that. Just as one of the characters in the movie, in The Fault in Our Stars, said, I refuse to believe that this is it. I refuse to believe that. And I look at this section today where the seats are there, and I say to myself, Barbara Benoit is here. Barbara Benoit is with you and me, as she has always had been, part of this parish family. For indeed, what passes away is only our physical presence. The first reading today says, so eloquently read, the souls of the just are in the hands of God, and they may seem to be gone in the eyes of the foolish, but they are at peace. they are at peace. They are in their infinity. And they are our infinity. And so therefore, they will always be with us in the most profound way, even though we no longer see them physically. So that's why indeed, every time we celebrate Mass and we celebrate that we profess profoundly our faith, we cannot just half-heartedly say, I believe in the communion of saints, I believe in the resurrection of the dead and life everlasting. No, those are not just words. Those, my dear friends, are proclamations of the deep truths of our faith. And when we say it haphazardly or half-heartedly, we don't honor enough the way God has created our universe, the way God has created our infinity, the infinity of this world, that are beyond our measure, beyond any scientific explanation, beyond any measuring, beyond any grasping of the mind. And that is what we celebrate together as a church, as God's people. And for as long, therefore, as we are people of faith, we hold on to these infinities. May the Lord continue to manifest to us how to live our lives every day, valuing and preparing for the great infinities of our lives. At this moment, I'd like to invite you to silently remember our loved ones who have passed in the most beautiful way. I'd like you to imagine, picture them in the best version of themselves, in their youth, in their years, so that they're strong, and with their most beautiful face, with their most beautiful smile. Because to be in that place with the Lord is to be the best version of yourself possible. And while you do this, I will now ritually bless with holy water the symbols and the presences of our loved ones in the Book of the Dead and in the altar of the dead. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and let perpetual light shine upon them. May they rest in peace. May the souls of all our faithful departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit.